Hi, everyone. I'm Jennifer Whitacre, and welcome back. I'm glad you're here again. I'm doing another video in my series on understanding autism. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. Please like, subscribe, and share, and be sure to hit that bell so you don't miss any of my videos. All right, today I'm going to talk about stemming. Stemming refers to self-stimulating behaviors, and it usually involves repetitive movements or sounds. Everyone, autistic or not, stems in some way. Individuals stem using their own bodies or things outside themselves, like fidget toys or tools, and these things are readily available almost anywhere nowadays. Stemming is considered an autistic trait, and it's closely associated with autism and ADHD, despite the fact that everyone stems, including neurotypical people. The word comes from the phrase self-stimulating behavior, but stems are really a lot more than just behaviors. Stems are communication, stems are celebration, and stems are self-regulation. And stemming can involve any of the senses. There can be visual stems, like looking through a kaleidoscope. A stem that I do a lot is tracing patterns with my eyes. People don't realize it, but a lot of times I'm tracing patterns, especially on Zooms. My eyes are constantly tracing around the little video blocks where all the people are. Stemming could be, other visual stems could be placing your face near a fan so the blades make the world flicker as they go by. Stems could be auditory, and this could be playing the same song over and over and over again, humming or vocalizing certain sounds over and over again. There can be olfactory stems, which could be like people who really like to smell books. They love the smell of old books or new books. Or it could be like breaking apart flower petals so you can smell the floral freshness because there's more of a waft whenever the petal breaks. There can be tactile stems, like touching the trunk of a tree to feel the bark and the texture, having a favorite soft, comfy blanket in childhood, or a favorite item of clothing or specific sheets on your bed in adulthood or something like that. There can be vestibular stems, which could be spinning on an office chair. It's kind of fun to do, or spinning in a swing or a merry-go-round, doing somersaults, or even shifting your weight back and forth when you're standing, or balancing on one foot. That's another weird thing I do sometimes. I'll just stand and balance on one foot. I didn't realize until really recently that was a stem. So this is new information to me that I'm sharing with you. There can be proprioceptive stems, which could be rocking back and forth, either with your body or tipping your whole chair back and forth. Bouncing on a trampoline, that would be a proprioceptive stem. And there's a whole market now that produces fidget toys or fidget tools that can include things like fidget spinners, putty, stress balls, which are squishy, focusing stems that could be, like the puzzles or the tangles or the tensegrity toys. Magnetic putty or building sets like Geomag. Those can be incredibly stemming tools for people. And there are infinite ways to stem. Stemming makes the world more joyful, more interactive, and more playful. Now, the number one reason folks stem is because it feels good. Other reasons can include calming ourselves down and self-regulating. And because the autistic nervous system is, in general, more prone to sensory overload than allistic nervous systems are, and the word allistic simply means non-autistic, autistic folks can get overwhelmed more easily. Therefore, stemming is a lot more prevalent because there's more overwhelm, thus more calming down and self-regulation within the autistic community. And stemming is one way that we deal with our overwhelm and sensory overload. Stems out in the larger world, people try to manage the stems of autistic folks all too often, and that can actually increase really greatly an autistic person's stress and distress. And in reality, the reason that STEMs are managed so often is due to judgmentalism, a lack of understanding about what STEMs really are, and more often than not, the discomfort and the misunderstanding of the onlooker. And really, that's not a good enough reason to force an autistic person to manage their stemming behaviors. Now, let me give you some good reasons why somebody might want to manage their stems. Number one, if the stem can cause genuine harm to the person or somebody else, such as biting or banging their head against a hard surface. Yeah, that's something you might want to manage. When the stem is actively interfering with something, such as disrupting a class or a meeting to the point that nobody in the room can focus. So an example, let's say you're an adult and you're in a meeting with other adults. Knitting might be a quieter stemming activity than chewing your gum and loudly popping it so everybody can hear the pops, because that can be highly disruptive in a large group. And another reason is to really prime autistic folks, what if you encounter a police officer? Because stemming can get somebody seriously hurt or killed in encounters with police officers, and this can be really dangerous. According to a research overview on autism and safety by the Autistic Self-Advocacy Network, a deeper examination of police shootings found that 1 out of every 5 people killed in a police shooting had a mental health disability. Now, that's not always published widely in the media, and probably because of HIPAA and for other various reasons. But if that were reported, we would see that disability is just as much of a reason why people are shot by police. Maybe even more so than skin color. And if you're a minority with a disability, oh my gosh, it's even higher of a risk. And police are more likely to use excessive force against people with disabilities, and people with disabilities are more likely to be killed by police. So yeah, this is a really big one to consider in terms of managing stems or knowing when to manage our stems. So the reality is, though, if no one is in real danger, stems are important. They're important to our quality of life. They're important to our ability to self-regulate. And guess what? They're important for everyone, not just autistic folks. So, for example, I teach a resiliency workshop called the Community Resiliency Model. And I teach stemming skills in the resiliency workshop. Don't tell people about this, though. So there are some skills that I teach in this resiliency workshop, and it wasn't taught to me by autistic folks. It was taught to me by neurotypical people. And some of the skills include resourcing and finding a self-soothing gesture. Well, guess what? Those are stems. I teach stems to neurotypical people so they can learn how to self-regulate and self-soothe and calm themselves down in the face of stress. And more often than not, they come to me after the workshop and tell me how grateful they are to have these tools to help themselves calm down. So should we tell them that it's actually a form of stemming? Maybe not. Anyway, I hope this gives you some information about stemming, and I hope you've learned just a little bit more about autism than what you knew before. I'll see you in the next video, folks. Happy self-discovery.